It's a joy to be with this class today and share on how to use object lessons in a class. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Okay. So the Light of the World curriculum is very simple, and it uses a lot of, it gives us a lot of opportunity to use objects as we teach, whether it be the vocabulary as well as the Bible story. So what is an object lesson? An object lesson is a teaching method that consists of using a physical object or a visual aid. Now, this is a pencil, this is a pen. If you are using, and if you are taking an online class, you could display pictures, screenshots, or make a PowerPoint of the objects that you are going to use. So an object lesson is a teaching method that consists of using a physical object or visual aid as a discussion piece for a lesson. Object lesson teaching assumes that material things have the potential to convey the information. What we see is more, the mind is able to retain faster and for a longer period when we visualize something. And this method was used by Jesus Christ himself to teach. Isn't that something so wonderful that Jesus Christ himself was a great object lesson teacher? For all his parables are based on objects, a fish, currency, everything. A sower sowed seed, mustard seed, water when he stood by the well. When he was by the well, he used water and spoke about living water. When he fed 5,000 people, he taught them about the bread of life, and he used the fish and the bread. When he was on a fishing boat, he said that the kingdom was like a fishing net. He told his listeners to consider the lilies, the sparrows, the hairs on the head. Jesus referred to a fig tree, a mustard tree, yeast, salt, a vineyard, money, and other things from everyday life. They were not something which were complicated or which the people didn't know. They were simple things which everyone knew about, which they were immediately able to see around them. Like when he spoke about a vineyard, he was probably sitting in a vineyard. When he said, consider the sparrows, probably there were sparrows flying around. When he taught the parable of the sower, that means they were sitting next to a field or inside a field. And the most important thing, Jesus asked the disciples to remember him as they took bread and wine at the Last Supper. So the Bible is filled with visible reminders of God's communication and connection with his people. Just as Christ was the visible image of an invisible God. Similarly, object lessons are visible expressions of the lessons that we are going to teach. Now, what are the advantages of an object lesson? Objects attract and hold the attention of the observers. Objects can simplify complex ideas. Now, especially if you are taking a Bible lesson and it's based about the Trinity, that's a bit difficult to understand. Now, you easily say ice, water, gas, and show how they all come from the same source, just like that. So we can simplify complex topics. Retention is very good due to the high interest. Now, when you show an object, immediately everyone is attracted to what it is or what you're going to say about it. Now, if I'm going to just say a balloon, I have a balloon, the balloon is red, my balloon is very beautiful, you will not show any interest. But if I'm going to pop up a balloon and say, this is a balloon, this balloon is red in color, everyone is instantly attracted to the object. Now, if I say, do you know red color? Blood is red. You will think, okay. But if I say balloon is red, next time, the moment I say red, everyone will remove the Remember the balloon, but not the blood which runs from head to toe, because the blood is invisible while the red colored balloon is visible. So retention is very good. High interest levels extends to all age groups. All of us love object lessons. And I've taken object lessons from all age groups, right? From kids, pre-KG kids to elders above 70 years. And they all love object lessons. It's nice to see something and learn rather than just look at a book and learn. Object lessons turn people's eyes into ears. Your hearing turns into seeing. Now, because people think in terms of words and images, objects help them recall what is taught. Now, when I read the Bible, if you ask me a certain portion, the first thing which will crop in my mind is, oh, I saw this verse at the left side of the Bible. I recollect the position of it, I visualize it, and then I remember it. Okay, that was Psalms 43, verse 1. So object lessons turn our eyes into ears. And we need not find something complex to use an object lesson. A pen, a paper, a book, fairly easy to use a class, and elaborate equipment is not required at all. You need not complicate it and bring down scientific things to explain. The student is given first-hand experience by coming into contact with the object. That's very important, touching and seeing and feeling it, and then knowing it. If I'm going to say, pass an apple tastes very sweet, you will nod your head. Now, if I'm going to give you a piece of apple or an apple in your hand and then cut a piece and ask you to taste it, then you will definitely remember that apples are very sweet and they are very tasty and they are very round. The shape, the color, the taste, you can cover all the sense organs through an object lesson. Because of the nature of object lessons, the teacher will develop the habit of graphic, colorful portrayal. Instead of just simply talking and talking and talking, the teacher is able to make the class more colorful and more interesting. Now, do we have disadvantages of object lessons? Definitely. Everything has advantages and disadvantages. Some have more advantages and less disadvantages. What could be the disadvantages of an object lesson? The biggest thing is the time. Each class has a time. We have a specific time. Now, if you're going to spend all your time uh, teaching via an object lesson, it's going to be very tedious and very long. So it's good to keep an object lesson either as an introduction or an illustration or for conclusion. Similarly, object lessons do not work well with large groups. If you're going to use a small object lesson and show it to 100 people, they will not be able to see it, and you won't find the time to pass it on to each and every person. It's going to be very time consuming. One basic factor is thinking of object lessons is sometimes very hard for people. You have to keep your mind open to what could possibly be an object you can use, or how can you turn it into a lesson. This is one basic thing. There's the danger that students may become more interested in the object than in the lesson that is being presented. They keep on looking out for the object, and they may lose interest if the next time you don't have an object and you're simply going to keep talking, they will miss the object. That's one thing. How do we use it for an ESL class? Now, this webinar is mainly intended for ESL teachers. Now, how would I manage an ESL class with objects? I use very, very simple objects. Now, let me show you a simple example. Ouch. Okay. So I will take a plastic box, a basket, and I will put papers like this. I'm just going to put papers. It can be either words or pictures. Now I will pass on this basket around my class and ask them to pick up a word. Now I might have taught picture book that day? Door, window, chair. So what are the contents in a living room? We have a lesson. So I will either show them, ask them to pick it up and go and touch. Now this is chair. So I will ask them to go and touch a chair in the classroom and show me what a chair is. That's one thing I can do. When it is for a young group, what I do is instead of putting it in a basket, I put it inside a balloon. So I get them to pop the balloon, take the word, and then show me the object. Now the pictures, what I do is, now this is about kids. This shoes. Now what I do for pictures is, they see the picture and they write down the spelling of the word. I use this for practicing writing. So I will ask them to pick up a picture, tell it out. This is a shoe. And then write down the word shoe. The teacher herself or himself can do that. Show up a picture and ask them, the whole class, to write it down. You can finish your dictation words with object lessons. Food. I also use it if I'm asking them to write a short paragraph on a trip. Now, if they've gone on a trip, I will ask them to write a few lines about the cuisine they ate there. What was the food? So they will write, I had pasta for breakfast. Pasta was very tasty. So I will have a picture of pasta and get them to write. These kind of pictures, I use them for colors and also for numbers. Now, this is an apple. 2 apples are green. 1 apple is red. And then, so how many apples are there? There are 3 apples. So we can also teach numbers with the help of pictures. So I can review vocabulary. I can ask them to write down the word, to create stories, and also to identify the pictures. Now, how will I teach them prepositions? That's very easy. Now, I'll give them a bowl and then say, where is the pen? The pen is inside the box, in the cup. The pen is under the cup. And now you can ask, you can leave everything in a plate and then tell, put the pencil under the book. They will have to demonstrate it. Only then can we check. Usually children students are very attentive when we talk to them. They nod their heads as though they have understood. And the brain always has short-term memory. Now, if I'm going to just say, put the pencil under the book. So under means keeping it under. They will say yes. But if I'm going to say, put the pencil under the book, under the book. Put the pen on the book. Put the pen in the basket. And then call them up and say, okay, Melina, put the ball inside the basket. Then remove the ball and put it on the table. That's easier for us to practice grammar through object lessons. I can also ask them what this is. What is this? This is a glass cup. What is this? This is a cup or a bowl. What is this? And also ask, is this a bowl? No. If it's a small class, we can put all the objects on a table, get our class to sit around the table, and then say, pick up the phone. Is this a pen? No. Then where is the pen? Pick up the pen. And Light of the World curriculum also has games which uses object lessons to teach the lessons. Now, when I taught family, I used a lot of photographs. And what I did was I hung it up in class on a board. I used a board and just hung up the pictures. Okay. And the previous day, I asked the class to bring some pictures of their family. I had mine put up on small things. And then I asked, this is a family. This is a woman. This is a man. This is a couple. And then I asked them to write a few lines about their family. So I am a girl. I am 15 years old. I go to school. That way, it makes the class very interesting, and also gives more opportunities for them to learn fast. The best use of object lessons can be in our Bible lessons. Now, what are the ways I use for the scripture lesson? Flashcards I always carry flashcards. Where are they? Okay, here they are. Of the story. Now, this is the Last Supper story. So suppose we have that in the curriculum. I make flashcards with the pictures and get them to read one slide or one page and then show the pictures. That's one easy way of teaching the Bible lesson. We also play games. You could do that online also. Now, this is a maze. So, start. You get your first vocabulary word right, clap your hands. So the whole class claps. Next, someone else gets the vocabulary word wrong. Then that person has to jump 3 times. That way, we play a game. From a lot of pictures, because I'm also a Sunday school teacher, my house is filled with pictures. So I put them to best use for the Bible lessons. Now, how do you teach a Bible verse? I hope you can see this. My command is this. So, Pastor Tang is missing. So, Melina, what would this be? Now, my command is this.
Love.
Yes. Love each other as?
I.
Yes. I have loved you. You are my friend if you do what I command. So just replace some words with something which they can easily say. Now, I use the picture of an eye. That way I can teach them that this is I. I. Love or heart.
That's great.
Yes, that's display the memory verse. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. Take a printout, add some pictures to your memory verse, and stick them in the classroom. So when they walk in, they're going to read it and they're going to carry it back with them. For an online class, what I do is I just erase some words. I type the whole verse, and then I erase some of the words as they learn. So if it is Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, tomorrow, I will first ask them to read it 3 times, teach them thrice, and then I will remove one word. And then they will remove the next one, remove the next one. And soon they will have a blank screen, but they would have already learned the verse, because this helps them to retain faster. I also take small pictures like this and just stare it and give it off to them when they finish, or as a small treat if they get it correctly. Labels, something like that, which they can carry home. And if it is an online class, maybe you can give them stars, or just a small poster, or something which they can see and feel happy about. Everyone loves a little bit of praise, and especially our students. They definitely love it when we encourage them, when we even for the smallest thing. It's so nice when someone says 2 words of joy to us. No, you're looking nice, and that makes them happy. That's the same with reading also. You've done a great job today, and ignore the small mistakes that they make. Just ignore it off. None of us are perfect. And as teachers, we're also learning. We keep learning, right? It's going to be never ending, this learning. So I thought I'll conclude by something like this. Now this is a glass of water, right? Now I want you to pour this glass of water. I want you to pour the glass of water into an empty cup. You're going to pour the glass of water into this empty cup, but I'm going to give you these 3 things to pour: a fork, a spoon, a knife. So which would you use to pour? Which would you use?
I would use the spoon.
For me, it's a spoon.
Okay, now if I'm going to give you another cup and say you can use this one, which one would you like? The cup, right? Because it's easier to lift the water and pour it.
Right.
Now, does that mean that the spoon or the fork or the knife has no purpose? Does it mean they don't have any purpose? That I couldn't use them to pour water. So does it mean the fork has no purpose? The spoon has no purpose? The knife has no purpose?
No.
Yes. Now, what would you use a fork for?
What?
Okay. Yeah, what would you use a fork for? What will you use? What will you do with a fork?
To eat.
To eat. A knife, what will you do with a knife?
To cut.
To cut. And spoon, maybe you will use it to drink your soup. So each object has a purpose, just like us. We also have a purpose. And God has created us with a purpose. And I want to put this into 2 perspectives. One is, if you're not able to use object lessons, don't feel bad about it. Use small things like a spoon, a knife. When you take a class, there's a lesson on food. So you can bring a spoon, you can bring the fork, you can bring the cup and show it to them. and have them play a small game about it and teach them about it. Keep the objects lesson small. Don't make them take the whole time of it. And always remember that it's okay if you're not able to do that. God has given each of us a talent. God has made all of us so different. Some of us are spoons, some of us are cups, some of us are forks. Forks might be great for eating meat or spaghetti, but we're not all designed with the same purpose in mind. Forks aren't made for moving water. So there are some tough questions in understanding God's purpose. But believe that definitely if you have trained yourself and answered God's call to be an ESL teacher, God will definitely fulfill his purpose through you, even though you might think I'm so unworthy, or I'm just like this fork, I cannot be used at all places. I'm like this knife, which is so sharp. Maybe my nature is very sharp. How will I mingle with my students? How will I be kind to them? So many questions, but trust that God has a purpose in your life and mine. And God has called us not just to teach English. The ultimate purpose is sharing Jesus Christ through the gift of English. So may God help us to use whatever little objects we can find, just like Jesus Christ did, and continue to do his work. And remember that it's ultimately God who gives us the yield. It's not in our hands. We will give our best. Maybe we can decorate our class and do an excellent work and still not have any students learning English, and just teach in a simple, sweet, loving way, and the whole class understands English. Let's leave the job of harvesting to God and continue to do our best, improvise our lessons in not just talking, in using object lessons, in using pictures, in and do them with a lot of love. And may God bless everything that we do for Him. And let us always remember that it's not our talents which matter, it is the students learn English, and that God be glorified through whatever we do. That's most important, that we remember that God be glorified, and let it not become a display of our talents. Rather, let it be learning together as a group, and God's name be glorified. Thank you so much, Melina, for this opportunity. Blessed to be here and blessed to be working with you. And we hope uh, to continue to use this webinar to train more and more people around the world. God bless.